Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I would like to introduce to you all Mr. Lemanuel Life LaRoche. With over 18 years of experience in youth and community development, Lemanuel Life LaRoche, with his MSW, is the founder and executive director of Chess and Community Incorporated, a nonprofit youth empowerment organization dedicated to developing strategic thinkers and leaders in the Athens and Northeast Georgia community. Life is a dynamic speaker, author, and grassroots community leader, and is the subject of Life the Griot 2014, a documentary highlighting the work and he has accomplished in Athens, Georgia, and the surrounding areas. Life has presented at TEDx UGA, an independently organized TED Talks event, and his organization has been featured on Georgia Public's broadcasting on Second Thought, PBS NewsHour, and CBS News. He was also a recipient of the 2016 Daily Points of Life Award. Life is an adjunct in the School of Social Work at the University of Georgia and has written 2 books, Tree of Life, The Human Ascension, and Hidden Ripples, Life's Unspoken Language. Learn more about Mr. Life and his organization with his chess organization at www.chessandcommunityorganization. Would you all please help me to welcome Mr. Life?
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Good evening. Come on, I've heard roaches talk louder than that. Good evening. That's what I'm talking about. First of all, I want to thank Mrs. Stacy Grant, Miss Stacy King, and the AAMI, as well as the SGA, for believing or seeing something in the work that I do to believe that I could come out here and at least do the best I can to inspire these students. So I really appreciate you all taking the opportunity to bring me out to do that. Second, I'd like to thank everybody that came out earlier. We was in the, what was the name of that hall? We was in the Cyber Cafe, and I was getting whooped in chess, but at the same time, I was teaching a lot of students how to play chess. And I'd like to thank everybody that took the time and was patient enough to just kind of be there with me through the process. But today, I'm going to go in a little bit. I want to really just kind of show y'all how that journey began. When you read that I teach at the University of Georgia, but nobody ever say that at one point I was homeless in Macon, Georgia. No one ever said that I dropped out of school. No one ever said that I had no idea who my school counselor was. And any of you, do y'all know who your school guidance counselor was? Exactly. So there are safety nets that are developed, safety nets, and too often, too many of us slip through those safety nets. But even as we slip through the safety nets, you all have some type of voice. You all have something that you can contribute to this world. You all have something that you can contribute to these times that we're in. And I want to find a way to really kind of get into that a lot more. But I'm a poet. I'm a spoken word artist. And I want to open up with a poem about this young kid that I used to mentor. His name was Little T. All right? And this kid was actually like so many of us, good kids. But you know how it is when we get into the pack mentality. When one person do something, we want to follow that person, right? So this kid was one of those kids, and I did so much work. I poured so much into him, but at the end, it was like he pretty much had to choose his route. So I'm going to open up with that poem. Can y'all hear me? All right. Little T was a good kid, but he always wore a mean mug. Too much television programmed him to want to be thug. What does that mean? When I say too much television programmed him, what does that mean? Huh? Brainwash. Okay, I want to make sure. I want y'all to understand the power of programming, because that's something I want to really get into today. How serious this programming is, right? So Little T was a good kid. He always wore a mean mug. Too much television programmed him to want to be thug. When he's alone, he likes to draw, he likes to read. When he's with his clique, he likes the guns, he likes the... Now, how y'all know I was going to say weed? Because it rhymes with read, right? I was going to say he likes the guns, he likes to lead. He likes the gun, he likes the beads. When he's alone, he likes the joy. He likes to read. When he's with his clique, he likes the guns. He likes the simple presence of his father could have made his world brighter. That desperate yearn for male bonding brought him and his gang tighter. I tried to show him how to weave through a death trap like a spider, and I told him if you play with fire, you're going to be left broke and empty on the sidewalk like a lighter. He said, life, that's lame talk. He told me the streets never lied till one of his boys got jumped at a party on the east side. Now it's time to ride. Loyalty and common sense collide. When his gang came to pick him up, he told me he wished he had time to hide. Eventually, every shining sun must face a cloudy day. Too many bad choices are taking our sons away. If you choose to run with wolves, be prepared to feel the scars. Don't end up another soft sheep crying behind bars. Now T riding 5 deep, still mean mugging to hide his fear, smoking to calm his nerves down with Chief Keef in his ear. Now he turned up, eyes red, his mind burnt up. All the times we spent talking about peer pressure, but he learned what? If you swarm with killer bees, be prepared to feel the sting as to let the windows down and let the guns start to sing. Shots fired, kids scattered, some hit the floor. Now Lil T ain't coming home again until he's 64. Okay? This is based on a true story of what happened in Athens, Georgia. And the question that I want to pose to you all is, how many of y'all know a Little T in your neighborhood? How many of y'all got a cousin named Little T somewhere like that go through that same kind of mess? And what we got to realize is that from Athens to Macon to Savannah to Atlanta to New York to Philly to New Orleans, D.C., everywhere I went in this country, it was the same blueprint, the same problem. The same Little T story going from hood to hood. And the question is, we got to ask ourselves, why? Why is that like that? In social work, there's something called macro and micro. Macro is when you engage what's happening in your neighborhood. Micro, what's going on in your stores, what's going on in your church, what's happening in your backyard. And when you start to see one person go through something, and another family go through the same thing, and another kid going through the same thing, that's a macro issue. Macro is policies. What happens to all the policies that are in place that are setting up these conditions in ways where we have little T's, where we have broken family systems? How did it get to this point? And I don't want it to be a talk today where we just going to talk about problems. What I'm going to talk to y'all today is about solutions. I was one of those kids that fell through that crack. I was one of those kids who I literally dropped out of high school, then eventually got locked up, went back into school after some old head was like, man, what are you doing with your life? There's so many intelligent young brothers, so many minds that are sitting in these cells. Why are you going to join your mind into these cells? Why don't you use your mind and impact this community in some way? And at that point, I had to make a crossroad. I had to choose. Which path am I going to go? And from there, I went back. I was 20 years old when I graduated from Southwest High School in Macon. 20 years old. All right? My GPA, .000. I don't even know my GPA because I didn't know my school counselor. That person who was there to catch me, I had no idea who that person was. And I wasn't going to look for them because I need counseling. But at the same time, that person wasn't going to look for me because that person got about 500 to 1,000 other students that they got to deal with. So eventually, I was put on academic probation. And I started at Gordon College, a 2-year college, like this university here. Gordon College, a 2-year school. I started there. And I went there and I showed them. I was like, I could do the work. Just give me an opportunity. I'm going to show you I got a mind on me. I went into Gordon College, knocked it out. And then from there, I transferred to the University of Georgia. Got to UGA, got my bachelor's, got my master's, and now I teach at the University of Georgia. And I teach master's level students that are on their way out so that they can impact and affect their communities. So it's easy to get up here and start talking about all the good things and this and this and that. And so much people tell you about all the things that happened, but no one tell you how was I able to do this? How was I able to really put this thing in motion? And that's what I want to really get into y'all about today. Because I promise each and every one of you have something to say, something to offer to this world. But the question is, what is it? If you're a clown, then maybe you're going to make the world laugh until eventually everybody start laughing at you, right? If you're serious about what you want to give with life, I'm going to give you the steps. Because it's not about just making you feel good and throwing all kinds of poetry at you. It's about giving you the steps. What are the steps that I took? How did I make it happen? And that's what I want to really engage with you all today. And I'm going to mix a little poetry and the little things of everything. I'm going to mix kind of everything in it with it. All right? So, y'all with me on this? All right, all right. So, the first thing is, I want to show you this. This summer, I took a group of kids from Athens, Georgia to Ethiopia for 2.5 weeks. All right, how many of y'all saw Black Panther? Wakanda forever, right? Y'all saw that? All right? But Ethiopia is the real Wakanda. I mean, Wakanda is fictional. Now, you know, it's not about just going to the movies and feel good about what we did. It's about what we're going to do on Monday, what we're going to do on Tuesday, how we're going to engage the next generation so that they can take part in this world. So I took a group of kids from Athens to Ethiopia. This hasn't even been released yet. This is going to be a documentary that you're going to start hearing about in about another 2 months. And I'm about to show you all a trailer of the impact. And why I'm doing this, I'm challenging you all to really expand the way you see the world, expand the way you see yourself, and understand that as you've seen this, it took work. All right, so let's go.
As I sit here, breathing peacefully, I feel as if I shall forget everything and find myself. This is Ethiopia, a whole nother world, a whole nother culture I've never experienced until now. How did I get here?
Today's effort is to open up the world to a few young ones from Athens, Georgia. Visit and compete in chess competitions with youth in Kutuba, Ethiopia.
We recognize the chaos and the racial tension that exists in our society. And we have a choice. We can either feed that wolf, feed that part of us, or we can feed that part of us that can heal. We're going to take some of these young guys to Ethiopia.
When you go to a place like Ethiopia, where people who look like you have been kings and queens and scientists and architects and engineers and educators throughout the history of mankind.
I was amazed. I felt like I was extremely important. You know, I felt like this is a big thing for me and also, like everybody's learning. This was the best thing that I could by far do in my whole entire life, is come on this trip. And I'm glad I did. We actually came to another country and got to the point that we had an emotional bond. That's a great thing. You know, that's a really great thing.
All right. So 2 weeks before we took the kids to Ethiopia, I was in Atlanta picking up the passports, picking up the visas, and somebody hit me for a smash and grab. My car and 5 other cars on the street. Somebody smashed through, grabbed everything. 2 weeks before we was going to Ethiopia, right? And I had a choice. You could either, lay down or cry and feel sorry about it, or you get up and make something happen. And I'm saying that to say that as you begin to take this road, I'm talking about that road, that dream you set for yourself. When you take that road and start moving forward with it, you're going to run into those obstacles. Those obstacles are coming. You can't avoid that. But those obstacles are designed for 2 things. 1, to see how serious you are about it. And 2, it's there to shape you. It's there to really shape you into the next stage of who you need to be. And too often we fold when we run into situations like that. Look around you, man. You got a university. You got so many people here that can guide you and inspire you into the next step of your development. But the question is, are you ready? What are you willing to do? What plans do you have? What have you set for yourself? Right? So when you see this right here is an organization I developed in Athens called Chess and Community. And I got tired. I came to Athens and joined the UGA life. But outside of the UGA environment, we had an Athens community, man, where it was 38% poverty. A lot of kids, the gangs that are coming up from Atlanta, hitting Athens hard. A lot of kids in poverty, the same cycle that's going on in a lot of our communities. A lot of cats who know their fathers. You have parents who, who work in 2 or 3 jobs, so they're not able to inspire and impact the kids. So what I decided to do was put together this organization. And what gave me the foundation to do that? Everything that I ever wanted to do as a kid. I grew up in New York City. And I got to Atlanta, then I went to Macon and went to school and dropped out and this, and then from there to Gordon College. But I grew up in New York, and everything that I ever wanted to do as a child, I found that as an opportunity that I'm going to create a program that I'm going to give these kids that same experience. So people say, why chess? Chess is a game of strategy. And those of you who got here earlier today, you realize chess is about strategy. It's about you putting a plan together, all right? In Athens, they built a $77 million jail. $77 million jail. So we started asking the kids, if you had $77 million, well, how would you use that money to impact your communities? This is what I'm talking about, macro. The policymakers, the commissioners, the mayors. Anybody here know who your commissioner is? Anybody here know who your mayor is? If you're going to be the next step, if you're going to be the next future of this country, future of this state, future of your county, then these are the steps that you need to at least get serious about. Because we can't just talk about all the issues that we see in our communities without being willing to take steps and strategies to impact those issues. So we saw that. $77 million was going into a jail. And I said, you know what? $1,000. We give 4 kids $1,000 apiece if you can come up to the stage and you can tell me what you would do with that money instead of spending $77 million into a jail. But not just, I would go do this. You better research it. You better know what the SPLOS is. Anybody know what the SPLOS is? These are things that are important that you all as students at least begin to open up your mind to begin to receive those type of information. Because on the way here, I stopped by Augusta, I stopped by a couple other towns, and I just saw some of these communities, and everybody was saying the same thing. Man, we can't get nobody to support each other. We ain't got nothing going on. Nobody want to work together. And I'm like, whoa. What strategies have we put in place? You are the ones that are going to have to implement and bring in those strategies. Okay? So with this program, chess is called Chess and Community. Right? Now, what I started doing, I started working at the Department of Juvenile Justice as an intern. And all the kids that I would get, I started just teaching them chess. I said, you know what? I'm going to teach you how to play this game of chess. They're like, man, that's just for nerds. I ain't trying to play that chess, man. It's crazy. I said, okay, you're going to play chess when you're with me. And I would teach them how to use their minds. I would teach them how to see the world through the chessboard. And once they did that, then they began to get it. So after a while, I had about 50 kids that would come with me all the time. Life, let's get together, let's play chess. And I turn it into what's called chess and pizza. When we talk about how do we put things in motion, chess and pizza, where once a month, I got all these kids together, bought a whole bunch of chess boards, we sat in back of Little Italy, a pizza place, and we just started playing chess. And after a while, the kids would say, why are we only doing this once a month? Why can't we do this every day? I talked to the local library, developed something where every Monday, we coming at the library. Then we started something called chess and climbing. Like I said, as a kid, I never got a chance to climb a mountain, hiking and all that. I wish I used to see that on TV. I'd be like, man, I want to do that one day. So I started doing that. Stone Mountain, some of the other mountains in Georgia, I started climbing that with these kids, chess and climbing. And after they finished climbing, we went downtown and we would play chess with a lot of the homeless people. Because even though you might feel you got it rough, there's always somebody who got it rougher, right? So by you getting a chance to play chess with a cat, a vet, a homeless vet, who lost his leg at war, that kid got a story that a lot of us can't even begin to understand. So we started playing chess and climbing. I used to always want to go kayaking, right? And I was like, man, I want to go kayaking. So we started chess and kayaking. Well, we would play chess, and then we would get the kids to go kayaking. Then every summer, we started something called a Young Scholars Book Club, where every summer, we bring the kids together, they jump on a bus, they go to UGA campus, we sit in one of those big old classrooms, and then we knock down 2 books. And they got to read together, because a lot of people know how to read, but a lot of people don't comprehend what they read. So the purpose of this was to not only teach them how to read, but that they can also begin to comprehend what they're reading. Then, once a year, we put on what's called an annual chess and community conference. And at this conference, we introduce different speakers. Like I said, those kids that we give $1,000 a piece, they come up to the stage and they start talking about issues that happen in their community and how they can impact their community. We have chess tournaments. Kids get $1,000 for whoever wins the tournament. And every year, it draws anywhere from 400 to 700 people a year. And this is something that, this was only a thought, an idea. This is something that I wanted to do in my neighborhood. I wanted to do in my community. But you can have the thoughts all day long, but until you begin to lay those strategies down, and I'm not talking like, man, you got to do this, because those strategies, they start coming, that work begin to get heavy and heavy on you. I'm talking about laying strategies. I said it's over 720 hours in a month. I'm going to dedicate 1 hour a month. 1 hour a month. And I'm going to start this chess thing. Then I'm saying I'm going to put 1 hour a month to do this book club. 1 hour a month to do this. And before you know it, all of this is born. So we have collective hands where we took the kids to Ethiopia. Next, we're going to take the kids to Cuba. Then we're going to take the kids to Costa Rica. A whole new set of kids so they can go to Ethiopia, go to another country, sit with another child who don't speak your language, sit with a child who have a totally different way of looking at the world, and you're going to sit down and you're going to engage with that person. This is about expanding how we see ourselves and how we see our world. But it's our choice if we want to stick in this small mentality. It's our choice. So my challenge to you all is to start, as you're hearing this, start thinking about some things you want to put together. Start thinking about some programs you want to put together and how you're going to start planning it and strategizing it and making it happen. Because it starts here. It starts right here. 2-year college, it starts here. Once you transfer, then you can start making those things happen. Get engaged in your community. But this is where a lot of it starts. I'm running to another poem. This poem is called For the Youth. And I do a lot of poetry. I travel throughout the country and I do poetry. And I go to elementary schools, I go to middle schools, I go to high schools, I go to different colleges, and I engage a lot of the audience through poetry. And this is called For the Youth. It's time we stand up, take a pledge for our youth. Reverse the programming that's being wedged in our youth. Confusion is running full-fledged at our youth. Insanity now hang on the edge of our youth. But I tell them freedom is waiting on the ledge for the youth. Corporations bring Santa on a sled for the youth. Reindeers, nose painted red for the youth. Little leprechauns with green feds for the youth. Tooth fairies hiding under beds for the youth. Easter bunnies laying chocolate eggs for the youth. While the pastor's yelling, he died and bled for the youth. Pharmacies selling prescription meds to the youth. And rappers sign deals to spit dead to the youth. Verbal genocide, they spit lead to the youth. load pistols and aim it at the heads of our youth, while parents are unaware of what's being said to the youth, but still consuming the venom that's being spread to the youth. Unconcerned with the lies that's being read to the youth. Synthetic burgers and fries is being fed to the youth. And mama works double shift trying to bring bread to the youth and fill the shoes of the alpha male who fled from the youth. So in crept the spider, built webs for the youth. They built prisons and jails to be the shed for the youth. Judges slammed gavels, tears shed from the youth. 25 to life, years shed from the youth, while the rest of the world's lapping the head of our youth. When I try to speak sense, it's like they dreading the truth. Listen, become a seamstress for the Most High and thread in the truth. When the valley of death becomes a highway, just trail in the truth. Even if you find yourself alone, at least you dwelled in the truth. Don't be a rebel without a cause. Rebel in the truth. Stare the wicked in their eyes, man, and tell them the truth. The system is built on lies. They try to sell you the truth and nomenclate your words so they can spell you the truth. But your mind is power. Your mind's power. Use your voice to nail in the truth. Be engaged to righteousness. Be wed in the truth. Be protected by the greater light. Be held in the truth. All right, so what I did with this program is I used to only deal with young boys, all right? Because I recognize that a lot of our young boys are getting caught up in these traps. I go to the YDCs, and I go in there, and I'm teaching the young kids how to play chess in there. I go to the YDCs, and we start debates in the YDC centers, all right? Because I recognize that there was a lot of traps that were laid, and these young boys fall right into it. But all the young ladies would say, what about us? What about us? How you going to only do this for all these young guys? What about us? We need the same type of assistance. So we started something called Classic City Knights and Classic City Queens. And this program is set where there is an internal component and an external component. Okay? I'm giving you tools, man, things that y'all can actually put together. If y'all want to put something in this neighborhood, in your neighborhood, wherever you came from, you can actually begin to put these things into place. So, internal program and the external program. The internal program is set where we get about 25 kids, males, young boys, and young girls. And we get together, we got the weekly programs, we got the quarterly programs, we got monthly programs, they got to do community service. They have to even sit in the mayors and commissioners meeting. Have anybody here ever sat in a mayors and commissioners meeting? The mayors and commissioners meeting is where they draw the policies for how to run your city, how to run your county. So you can't be in one breath be like, man, I don't like what's going on in my neighborhood, man, this is my hood, we going, yeah. But on another breath, you're not willing to engage that. You're not willing to go into these meetings and talk to these people and see what policies that they're putting in place. So we get these kids to come and sit down in the mayors and commissioners meeting. And when they do that, they're like, man, I don't understand anything these people are saying. And I said, I know. But the whole objective is for you to sit down and just listen so you can become familiar with the language. We take them to debates. How many of y'all like to argue? Y'all argue somebody to death, right? So that means you could be a good lawyer. You could be a good debater, all right? If you like to argue, just transfer those skills into something else. So this is what we did. We take them to debates where they now sit down and they got to debate with a lot of UGA students, the Smithsonian Society, and they learn about the tools of debating. You know what I mean? Next, when we put on this conference, they come out and they literally have to engage the conference. They're the ones that have to lead everyone in. They lead, they introduce the speakers, you know, they do all of the different works. But this is part of that internal structure where, and everything is based on volunteers. The first thing you have to do is develop a structure. If you said, I want to develop a program, what does that program look like? How often are y'all going to meet a week, a month, a year? How many people you going to need on your team to make it happen? Who's going to be the volunteer coordinator? Who's going to be the fundraiser coordinator? How y'all going to get money to fund it? All these things are things y'all got to start thinking about if you're serious about developing and putting a plan forward. And I'm saying all this not as a guy that's just up here talking to y'all. I'm saying this as a kid who was literally at a 2-year college. I didn't know if I was going to flunk out or leave because I was like, man, I'm tired of this. I'm not connected with my teachers. Teachers talking all kind of mess. I ain't trying to hear that. I ain't trying to feel that. But I stuck through it. And then I transferred to the University of Georgia. So you, again, begin to lay down some type of steps, some type of plan that you can go to the next level. But also apply that to you developing some type of organization. So in doing that, I identified the organization. We developed an internal structure. When those kids graduate, when those kids leave the program, they now have to become mentors for the new group, the new kids that are coming in. So this is the type of thing where you set it up where it constantly feeds itself. And right now, I'm setting it up where one of the kids that we got from the program, got him from the Department of Juvenile Justice. Now he's a student at the University of Georgia. He's about to get his PhD, his master's in psychology. And this is the same student who was once a juvenile justice, but it got him through this program. And now I'm trying to prepare him so he can take over this. Because once you develop an idea, once you develop something, people in other places are going to want to use that model. So, been to Costa Rica, they want to use the model. Been to Cincinnati, they want to use the model. Everybody's saying, can you come into my hood? Can you come to my city and develop something like that in my community? And what I'm saying is like, I probably can't do that, but one of y'all could do that. You can come up with your own ideas, whatever it is that you like. You like to play spades? How many of y'all like to play spades? Start a spade group. And I'm not talking about with other college students, with some kids in the neighborhood, some kids in high school, some middle school students. If you can make it happen, come together, play spades, teach them a little something, teach them, give them the experience of what the East Georgia State College looked like. All that is part of an experience. You take what you have and open up the door, open up the world for somebody else. This is what this conversation is about. Not just sitting here and just absorbing it, but start thinking about what are the next steps in your life. When I teach the kids, I teach them there's a difference between reacting and responding. What's the difference between reacting and responding? Somebody smack you, what you gonna do? You're gonna smack them back, right? Right? Because that's how our parents say, you ain't raised no punk, right? You know, you ain't raised. You smack me, I'm gonna smack you back, right? But that's reaction. And we see what's going on in the world right now, right? Are we reacting or are we responding? Responding means when you can see something, you put some thought into it. You begin to put a plan together. And then you're gonna figure out how you're gonna engage, how you wanna go ahead and engage the issue. We see all these things that are going on in the world right now. We're not blind. I hope y'all awake. Y'all woke, right? How many of y'all woke? Y'all woke, right? So y'all aware of all the things that are going on in the world. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? You just going to sit there and watch it happen? What you going to do about that? And that's what this conversation is about. This is where you're at right now when you're staged. Well, the only thing I'm going to do is give you tools to do it, show you how you can start engaging. So I saw that it was an issue. We got this gang in our neighborhood, young boys. They're getting younger and younger, banging. And a lot of them are being programmed by what? All right. How many of y'all believe programming is real? How many of y'all believe y'all can get programmed? All right. I need everybody in the room to spell top. Spell it again. Okay, she hype. You definitely can spell, all right? Now I need everybody to spell pot. Spell it again. Come on, spell it again. Y'all can spell. What do you do when you get to the green light? What do you do when you get to the green light? But why did you say stop at first? But that's how the program works. That's how programming works. Okay? Using music, rhythm, repetition. You can hear a song, you like, man, this song is trash, man. Who's gonna come up with a song like this? Before the day is out, you singing it. Even though you said it was trash when you first heard it. Why? How did that happen? Programming. Okay? Music, repetition, and rhyme. If I can say something over and over and over, you eventually going to start believing it. What do you do when you get to the green light? What do you do when you get to the red light? What do you do when you get to the yellow light? Or speed up, depending on where you're at, right? So, when you get to the red light, you stop. When you get to the yellow light, you slow down or speed up, right? What color is Wendy's? Red and yellow. So when you see Wendy's, you don't see no yellow in Wendy's? Red, white, you don't get a little yellow? What color is McDonald's? So it's another red and yellow. What color is Hardee's? What color is Popeyes? Programming, color programming. This is how programming works. And the first step of it all is for you to take back control of your mind. Y'all can try to play with each other and, show out for each other, but at the end of the day, that person ain't gonna be with you in the long run. You know what I mean? So the first step is to take back control of your mind. Take back control of who you are. You can't be, impress somebody else. Take back control of who you are. That's number one. Take back control of your mind. Recognize how you're being influenced. If I said every day how you know I was going to say hustling, huh? Anything you have put in your mind, it still sits there in your mind. You have your conscious mind and you have your subconscious mind. All the things you watch, the things you hear, the things that are coming into all your senses, that goes into the subconscious mind. So you got a cat that look in the mirror and he literally see his favorite rapper. A girl looking in the mirror, she really see her favorite R&B artist. Even to the point where, dude, you see the cat walking, his pants all the way down, he rap to himself. How many times? Come on, I see it everywhere I go. And at one point, I was doing it. So I ain't judging nobody. I was doing that at one point. But we're not aware of our environment. We're not aware of our surroundings. We get so trapped into the way we see and the way we understand the world that we don't get a chance to open up our minds and see how other things happen in this world. And this is the work that I do. The work I do is about expanding your experience. If you ain't never been outside of your hood, we're going to take you outside. We're going to let you see the world something different. In our communities, we got all these gang issues happening. And instead of just sitting here angry, what am I going to do about it? We started something called Man to Man, Father and Son Healing Circle, where I saw a lot of these young boys in the neighborhood, they didn't have fathers in their lives, and they were angry. They would take all that anger, and what you do with that anger? When you turn that anger inward, depression. When you turn that anger outwards, aggression. So a lot of us don't know. You become aggressive, what happens? Of course, they got prisons for that. They got jails for that. So my job was to become, how do we help young people channel that anger? How do we channel that? We started something called Man to Man. And this is something, if y'all not doing it, this is something y'all could probably begin at school. And not just man to man, also lady to woman, woman to woman. And this is a healing circle. And what we do is we just put a big old circle in the middle to a community center, right in the hood. Big old circle. The oldest in the room is 88. The youngest in the room is 11. And we just talk. I ain't no professor. I'm not executive director. I'm none of that stuff that you heard on a resume. I'm just a father. I'm just somebody's son. You know what I mean? I'm somebody's uncle. And we have everybody write down whatever you saw, whatever's bothering you, you write it down. And we pick it up, and we just talk about it. Everybody just give this 2 cents. This is something we do. We've been doing that for 2.5 years, man to man. So what it did was a lot of the young boys in the room, a lot of the young boys that didn't have their fathers, a lot of them began to what? Connect with other men in that room. And we had people in there, 40-some years old, crying, I'm about to get divorced, yada, yada, yada. And there's a 60-year-old room, it's like, man, I've been through 2 divorces. Let me show you how to do it. This is what you do. When you go through this is how you do it. This is how you communicate with your family. And sometimes we all need that level of mentorship. I don't care how old you are, how young you are. We all need that level of mentorship. And what I challenge you all is to find that person. If you ain't hearing nothing I'm saying tonight, at least connect with somebody. in your life somebody that can at least be a mentor to you. That was the biggest advice that I've gotten that helped me soar into the next level. But here's the crazy thing. The first step is what? Taking back control of your mind. The way we've been programmed to see and understand the world is different. I've been to Israel. I got to Israel, the guy was like, hey, Little Wayne, let me get that blunt, Little Wayne, 40. And I'm looking at him like, yo, what's up? What's wrong with you? But where's he getting that mindset from? Why is he coming at me like that? Why is he coming at me like that? What is influencing him about who we are, who African Americans are in this country? The television, the news. And is that saying some good things about us? Huh? All right? So, I had to let him know if I was to treat you, because the program, they programmed me to believe that Arabs are all criminals, or they set up bombs, and Israelis are this, and white people are this, and black people are this. And if we buy into those programs, we buy into those ideas, it becomes our reality. So the way we see the world, it may be different from the way other people see the world. My boy dropped me off at the airport when I was on the way to Israel, and he just washed his car. He was like, man, and I stepped out the car, I slammed the door. He's like, bro, don't slam the door too hard, man. I just washed the car. And he had a new Benz. I was like, come on, bro, it's just a car. We went to Israel, went to another country. We stopped in Amsterdam, and everybody was driving Benz. Taxi drivers was driving it. Everybody was driving it. That was part of a taxi car, because this is where they make it. They make those cars. They have access to all of that. But because we've been programmed to see that as something valuable, in another country, they laugh at that. Like, yo, we use that for taxis. Again, open up your minds, man. Don't get locked into nobody's program. Travel when you get a moment. I ain't got no money. I was able to travel to all these continents, go to Zimbabwe, go to South Africa, go to Israel, go to Mexico, go to all these different places. Connections. And those connections that I made started right here where y'all at. It started right here. Your college, utilize this experience. Don't just run with the same pack, especially if it's a pack of clowns. You know what I mean? Don't just run with the same pack. Reach out. I was in UGA, I connected with a kid from Zimbabwe. I connected with my boy from China. Talk to them. What's going on in your country? What's the currency looking like? If I put some money, get over there. You got me? I got you. Just come over to my country. Got to the country, had a ball. Make those connections. Utilize this experience. Don't just waste or piss 2 years of your life away here. Connect. Engage. Right? All right? So next. All right? This is something that, all right? Project Rewire. I was doing all the stuff I was doing with these kids, right? Impacting them, engaging them in the community, doing all kinds of great work. But then I realized, like, man, I wasn't able to connect with a lot of those kids in school. I wasn't able to really give these kids entrepreneurship. So I found where I had holes in my organization, and I began to partner with other organizations. I'm showing you things that I've done. I'm showing you things that are currently happening. So Project Rewire. We're going to rewire the way they see themselves. We're going to rewire the way they envision their future. And we're going to rewire the way the community see the kids. And our focus, we focus on 60 kids. That's the first year. We start with 60. Out of those 60 kids, 20% homeless, 15% foster care, 10% Department of Juvenile Justice. How are we able to manage and engage with all these kids? So I got with two other organizations. One is ran by a gentleman named Dante Robson. He's an NFL player, or he's an ex-NFL player. And he got a program called Dante Robson Foundation, but Take the Lead, where he teaches entrepreneurship. And his thing is like, man, all these young boys trying to get into the pros and to the college, and if they don't make it, your success is determined by somebody else saying you're great or you're not great. So his thing was like, all these NFL players, a lot of them end up broke. A lot of NBA players, a lot of them end up broke after about 6 to 7 years. Because the saying goes, a fool and his money will soon part. Everybody want to make money, but nobody know what we need money for. If you have money, what you use money for? How would you spend the money? What are the principles of money? What's the principles of finance? These are things that y'all can learn. These are things that you should be learning and taking advantage of. So, Dante Robson Foundation, College Factory, my boy Lawrence, he runs a career academy in Athens, and he has a college factory, which is when the kids hit 11th grade and 12th grade, he gets them, engage them through different colleges, let them see what the process of being enrolled in a college, a lot of things that I wish I had. Again, take what's missing from your life and find a way to develop that and engage another child. Because 9 times out of 10, that child is going through the same thing. So we developed what's called a collective impact model, where we took all 3 of our nonprofits, Chesson Community, College Factory, Dante Robson Foundation, and we put all of that under one, Project Rewire. And these kids get interned for a day. You're going to go shadow a businessman for a whole day. Or you're going to go to a job or anything. You're going to shadow the owner. They get a chance to learn, develop their own ideation, your own business. How do you build a business from the ground up? And he's going to find a lot of his ball players, friends that he got, that's going to help pitch into that, to help maybe give them seed money for their organizations. Lawrence Harris, how do we get all those kids who are dropping out, who are dropping off? How do we catch them? I can engage them in the community, but how do we engage them on a college level? So we took all 3 of our organizations and we merged it into one. And again, I'm sharing this with you so that you all can understand these are the principles of putting together organizations and business. I'm no special. I tell you, my GPA was low. When I got to school, man, I was like barely scaling B's, and every now and then I would knock an A out the park. You know what I mean? But then when I finally clicked, I got it, then I started to really engage myself because I had to change who I ran with. I had to change my study habits. I had to change all of that. And when I did, then I began to see the world different. And I began to understand the world different. So I'm no different from any one of you, and I would challenge, even go as far as to say the programs that y'all going to create is going to be 10, 20 times better than what we're doing here. But I need all y'all to get some vision right now. What's happening down there in Savannah? Y'all know? Y'all know about the harbor that's being, they deepen the harbor? Do y'all understand why? Y'all know about the harbor in Savannah, right? Y'all know they deepen the harbor. Do y'all know what's about to happen? Okay? You're talking about right now, there is pretty much a jam on all the ports around the world. So much products are coming in from all of these different countries to the United States. So a lot of these ports from New York to Cali is jammed. So they're talking about right now, they're deepening the harbor in Savannah so that Savannah can be a place where they're going to start getting a lot of business through. How far is Savannah from here? Bruh, when they start bringing the shipments here, the economy of Savannah, Statesboro, and everything up to Macon, Atlanta is about to boom. So the question is, what role y'all gonna play in that? What role y'all gonna play in that? You gonna get your hustle? And I ain't talking about a little hustle. I'm talking about y'all gonna get your game on? Even if you used to open up a store and just sit it there for a couple of years. In another couple of years, everything, this whole real estate from Savannah all the way up to Macon is about to be booming. So y'all gotta be positioning yourselves right now. Because there's gonna be a lot of money coming through there. And as the money comes through, of course, new business, new opportunities. You know what they call Atlanta, like the new Hollywood. It's a lot of money coming into Georgia. How are you positioning yourselves? Are y'all thinking small? Are y'all clowning? Or y'all really thinking big about what y'all want to do with your life and how y'all want to impact your lives? Because whether you want it or not, it's going to happen. And the whole idea is, are you ready to take advantage of it? Okay? I'm going to spit it something else for you. This is for all the young ladies. They said if you break a man, when you remove the father from the home, you break a man, you break the foundation. But when you break a woman, when you break the woman, when you remove the woman from the home, then you pretty much break a nation because women give birth to children, right? So if you break the mother, you also breaking the child because she's the one that connects with that. So this is something, I'm gonna paint you a story of this young flower named Alexis. Her block is full of testosterone, a bunch of young boys flexing. A mama screaming at her daughter while this young girl is texting. She's sending naked flicks of herself trying to see a young boy erection. But mama in her ears trying to offer her correction. Her eyes filled with tears because she lost the connection. Tears fall as innocence peel from her reflection. No daddy in the home, he out chasing his selection and left this flower blooming to the sun with no direction. So in crept the young boy, start soothing her imperfection. His words left her in the dream state. She can't find the point of her inception. Naive to the game, she can't discern the truth from the deception. Nicki Minaj on the screen got her hating her perfection. Now she wants silicone breasts and a butt injection. She's buying skin cream to lighten her dark complexion. Rihanna in the air, shaping her sexual perception. Oh yeah, her rude boy got it up, and now he drilling deep with no protection. Gave it to her raw, no love, no affection. They never called her back, now she dealing with rejection. Plus now it burns when she urines. She got a vaginal infection. But now tears fill her eyes, she's at the clinic reception. They said gonorrhea and herpes were spotted during her inspection. But now she carries vengeance in her heart. You can see in her inflection, she's like YOLO. That's her new motto, her life's conception. She popping mollies at the bar, damage her recollection. Let them all take a slice, no one wearing contraceptions. 10 men, 20 men, damage her intersection. Mama kicks her out, she's standing on intersections. She running a deep route, I'm praying for interceptions. Praying that she finds inner guidance and introspection. Praying for some type of interference or interjection. But life deals a cruel hand, she dies during a C-section. But from the ashes of her death, her daughter Phoenix rises in resurrection, determined to break the cycle of insurrection. I'm also a counselor. So I do a lot of work with a lot of young women and a lot of young men that are running, that are trapped in these cycles. And the work that I do at any point given time, I have to find a way to engage them. I have to find a way to take somebody who completely took life and says, man, I'm done. I ain't got nothing left for it. I ain't got nothing left to give. And I got to find ways to inspire them. How many of y'all are into the whole criminal justice, sociology, social work, counseling? Those are your fields. You're needed on those lines. How many of y'all are into banking, finance, business? You're needed in those lines, in those fields. How many of y'all want to get out there and teach and engage the next generation, become teachers at high schools, middle schools, colleges? You're needed in those lines. All across the board, you're needed. But if you don't take yourself serious, ain't nobody else will. When I didn't take myself serious, that was what I got. I got locked up. I was running with some knuckleheads. They decided that they wanted to rob something. I was like, nah, I'm good. I ain't robbing. I'm good. I ain't robbing. They did it. They ended up getting locked up. Choices. At any point, we all have those choices. So I want to show y'all a little something else. All right? So when you hear about all the things, okay, so this is what it looks like. All the things that I'm telling you that we're doing out there, this is what it looks like. Huh? Chess and ice cream. Chess and climbing. Chess and kayaking. The book club.
It's important because it teaches me life skills. Think before you move, and always think one move ahead in your life, in real life, because your action has consequences, just like in chess.
You know, I like how everybody's communicating with each other, how they like playing with each other, how they like meeting new people, how they like playing chess, you know.
We get to go on a lot of fun trips, and we get to learn more about history.
Operation DC, we take them to DC every year, and they compete, and they get a chance to visit all the museums. Take them to visit Howard, A&T, different colleges.
I'm a big believer in being honest with everybody. I do not know how to play chess.
So what you saw, that was the chief of police, right? So we saw that we had an issue in our communities, right? And the issue is, you see Black Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter, you know, we just go into war because people are programming us to just gotta go to war with each other. So what we decide to do is, if I see that there's a problem, then I'm gonna find a way to resolve the problem in my neighborhood. So that we don't get no kid get shot in our neighborhood, right? So we just started something called Justice Served, where once a year and during the summer, once a year we have the kids versus the police, and the kids get a chance to just whoop up on the police every year, smashing them, right? And during the summer, the police get a chance, we partner with them, and we go into the middle schools and we teach a lot of the kids how to play chess. Now, why do we do that? This is a way for us to, one, if the police has been programmed to see black youth in a certain way, it's a chance for the police to reprogram the way he sees the kids. And if we've been programmed to see the police in a certain way, then this is an opportunity for both to engage with each other. So this is what I'm talking about, like little solutions, little things that we can incorporate to make a difference. So to the end of it, I'm also a father, right? I'm also a father, all right? And sometimes when you go out, and I'm showing you this to say, yo, you know, don't be ashamed. You know, a lot of times, you know, when I was younger, of course, I was in the stage, I'm just trying to get what I can. You know, I'm not going to use the words I would use because the camera is on. But, you know, as you get older, you mature, hopefully, right? So I got 2 boys, I got 2 sons, I got a wife. And my job right now is to not only provide for my family, for my kids, but also provide for my community. And I think it's important that this is an element that we often don't see, because it's a narrative that's always being drawn about black men. We don't take care of our families. We're not in the communities. We're not doing these things, and that's not right. Oh man, more of us in jail than in school. That's not right. That statistics don't point to that. There's a lot of young brothers, there's a lot of black men in schools, in colleges. It's actually more in college than jail. But we buy into those stereotypes. We buy into the statistics, we begin to believe it, and then we become that. So I think it's more as black men, as men. I'm talking to a lot of y'all right now. Like, be responsible. This is what it means, be responsible, handle your business. When that time comes, handle your business. For young ladies, be responsible. When a time is presented for you, be responsible. Identify those dudes, or young lady, whoever, whatever you with, whoever you connect with that person. But let's find a way to reduce a lot of the STDs, a lot of things that we're seeing that's plaguing a lot of these communities. And I get opportunity to see that from the ground level. When there was a lot of gangs and stuff happening in our communities, I joined the Mayors and Commissioners Task Force. And our job was to find a way, how do we come to resolve the gang issues in our communities? We had to look at the data. We had to look at statistics. How many young brothers are cycling through the juvenile system? Why? Right? And how do we go into these communities and begin to make an impact? What happens if you go into a community and nobody know you and you talk about, yo, we want to bring about some type of change in the community? What do people want to say? They say, get out of here, man. We don't know who you are. Get out of here. So it's a thing about connecting, having that level of connection. I'm part of the Youth Development Mayors and Commissioners Task Force. I'm part of economic mobility. How do we improve the poverty rate in our communities? And I sit on all these different boards, all these different organizations, and doing everything I can to try to bring some type of change from the macro level. While at the same time, I'm out here with the kids affecting it from the micro level. And I'm saying that is, if you got a mind, use it. As you see me engage in these communities, I'm also out here at home engaging with my kids. So I'm gonna end with one poem, then I'm gonna open up the door, open it up for any questions. And this right here is more a challenge than just a poem. This is a challenge. All right? This is a challenge. It's called Projects. When I was 13 years old, my father walked me through the streets of Brooklyn, New York. And we walked from project to project. We were like, look at them projects, right? Look at the projects. Like, this is what happened in this project last night. This is what happened here. Because he was that community person. And when he told me, he said, yo, look, you're either going to be part of the problem or you're going to be part of the solution. Right? And as I got older, I started going from country to country, state to state. And everywhere I went, I saw that it was the same blueprint. Wherever I saw there was a hood, it was the same issues, the same problems. So this is more of a challenge than a poem. And this is called Projects. This is called, I need some crowd participation, right? So that means, like, sometimes there's going to be a point where I'm going to be pointing at you and I need you to just kind of get in. Little Abe salutes his comrade and takes a bullet for his project. The kid to squeeze the trigger, he pulled it for his project. Now it's war between the kids and the projects. The city confiscates the land and corporations bid for the project. They start laying pipelines from the prison to the project, flooded with drugs, drain the vision out the project, put cameras on the post, wide fence around the projects, but still I seen an empty weed bag lay beneath the bench of the project. On top these kids sit, they're getting high in the projects. Throw the sets up, bandanas fly in the projects. Bullets were exchanged and mothers cry in the project. She said her son was born in a project. He died in a... They call it social engineering in the project. Grandma got slapped by her grandson, but no one caring in the projects. We take from each other. No more sharing in the projects. These words cry for change, but no one hearing in the project. Instead, we hear these broke rappers throw knots to make it rain in the projects. And coppers tote blocks left a black boy slain in the projects. Where trappers sell rocks, crack grain in the projects. This leaves little Abel as unable. There's too much Cain in the projects. Too many grown men mimic Lil Wayne in the projects. Too many flowers shaking their stems for fame in the projects. Pedophiles walk with no shame in the projects. Dogs roam these streets unchained in the projects. Rip roses from the earth. Young boys are running trains in the projects. And worse are ministers who claim to be ordained in the projects. Using the Lord's name in vain in the projects. Hustle God with snake tongues and leave spiritual stains in the projects. Come on, 4 churches on 1 block, still nothing gained in the projects? But liquor stores, where they drown out their pain in the projects. Trap house, where they empty out their veins in the projects. Slow genocide. Slow genocide. slow genocide to nothing remain in the projects. It's bioengineering in the project. Biological warfare is the project. Syphilis in Tuskegee was a project. Bombs dropped on Move in Philly was a project. Chemtrail clouds over our city is a chemtrail clouds over our city is a radiation in the soil is a fill the oceans with oil was a genetic modifying foods is a use frequencies to control your moods is a COINTELPRO was a project. The CIA flood the hood with blow, it was a project. So crack in the hood was a birth of a nation. Even the Klan in white hoods was a the prison complex is a the housing complex is a now we call all these housing complexes but it's a new day. Let old scars peel from the projects. If we want change, we gotta want to deal with our projects. Correct those that rob, rape, and steal in our projects, and those that hustle white death to kill a zeal in our projects. My father said, young boy, your hand is a deadly weapon, but it could also be used to heal our projects. Plant good seeds, watch the harvest yield in the projects. Learn to utilize the parks and the fields in our projects. Take back control, we gotta wield our project. Turn every man into an armor and a shield for the project. It's warfare. Become a righteous seal for the project. Aim high, push the moral will of the project. If black is beautiful, then let it be revealed in our projects. Let's start by giving back the lies and focus on what's real in our projects, like grow food so we provide the meal for the project. Eat healthy to eradicate the ills in our projects. Natural herbs in place of dietary pills in our projects. Try 3 days a week without salt as your bring your sugar intake to a halt as a fast 2 weeks on Facebook as a and put your damn face inside a book as a let's teach our sons chess and karate and let's teach our daughters self-esteem and Pilates and take the television off, read more in the project, open up your mind, see more than a project. Don't settle for a cell, be more than a don't settle for a jail, be more than a don't settle for yourselves, be more than a all right. Okay, I promise that I'm going to open it up because I could be up here and I could talk till the sun come up. All right? But it's not about that. You know, it's about you all really getting something from this. All right? This is what I do, man. This is what I do, and it's serious. I'm serious about the work that I do. And I need you all to be serious about what you do. I get it. You're young. You're going to enjoy yourself. Enjoy it, man. You only got one life, right? Live it. But also be strategizing, man. Put a plan together for your life, man. That's all I'm trying to say. With everything that I said, I'm only trying to say put a plan together for your life. If you ain't got a plan, somebody else going to get a plan for you. If you ain't got a plan, you're going to fall through somebody else's plan. You're going to let somebody else boast you and boost you, and you're going to go ahead and do something stupid. Or you're going to go out there, you're going to inspire, you're going to engage the world. The choice is yours. All right, so I want to open up if anybody have any questions. There's no questions. I can keep going. Huh? You said what? Go ahead. Spit it, because you might have a question anybody else has. Come on. Man, that's a really good question because you know what? I ran into this other brother, and I don't know if this is for more of the older brothers in this room. You know, for a lot of us, I don't know, it's, you know, sometimes when you have that father in your life, that can at least set some example with some uncles. They say when the father falls back, when the father's not involved, it's the uncle's job to step up, right? So I think what clicked for me, I had some good role models, you know what I mean? I used to run, I did stupid things, I ran with stupid people, I did all that, right? But it came a point in my life when I saw the communities, especially when I hit the communities, and I was like, man, if we don't step up, if we don't do something, then nobody else is going to do it. I used to always say, oh man, somebody else is taking care of that. Somebody else is handling that. And when I realized it's like, whether they're handling or not, I don't see it. So I'm going to go ahead and make it happen. And I think what clicked for me, one, when I got deeper, is when I started having, kids. You know what I mean? Then you begin to, you no longer see yourself. You start to see that, man, I got a responsibility. But when I started seeing a lot of those young boys I used to work with, I used to engage with and carry them and take them, and I would work with them all day, but then they go back to the neighborhoods, and a lot of them ain't got food, they ain't got basic things. That I was like, man, I can't just play on this level. I got to start playing on a macro level, not just micro. Not just try to engage the kids, but how do we impact communities? And I think the clicking, it came on in different stages. I would say awareness came on when I was probably about 23, 24, but I think it got a lot deeper when I hit about 27, 28. And that's when it started to really, and I said, man, I need to travel. And when I travel, it like, boom, opened up the world completely. So I encourage everybody, man, to try to travel and challenge your perspective. I had to actually challenge my perspective. When I used to get angry, I'm like, man, why am I angry? Like, this cat just said this and this and this, right? So I used to say, why am I giving this person power over me right now? Why does this person have power? How am I going to give somebody else my power? And I started to do a lot more like, I'm not going to give my power away. I'm going to use my power to do good. I'm not going to use my power to feed into somebody else's chaos. So that's where I began to do a lot of self-reflecting. And in doing so, it helped me open the world a lot different. And when my father passed, my father made his transition, man, it made me realize, like, man, I got to stop playing. Like, my grandfather's not here, my father's not here, I'm the only one left, right? And I got to bring the generations. I got to keep this family tree, this tree of life growing. And that's where it's like I realized that I had to get a lot more serious. And in doing so, it becomes difficult because it's like, man, what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to do this? Like I'm telling y'all, no one told me, how do you put this? How do you put programs together? How do you start programs in communities? Nobody told me how to do all that. So I had to really try to figure this thing out and start to look online for other models. And in doing so, I began to just kind of continue to grow the organization. Hopefully that made some kind of sense. Any other questions? Brother, you said you got a lot of questions, man. Come at me with it, man. Yeah, I do. I have plenty of mentors. You know, the saying goes, if you're the smartest one in your circle, man, you need to jump into another circle because you're not growing. And if you're not growing, you're what? You're dying, right? So the whole idea is I got mentors, man. I got a lot of elders in my community that when I find myself trying to understand how to deal with my wife or the kids, or I just, I seek advice from some of the elders. And they just kind of walk me through it. They be like, okay, try this, do this. And then I try to be a mentor for a lot of the younger ones. So I make it a habit, even with finance. The way we understand money, the way we see the world's about to change. You know, cryptocurrency. Anybody heard of cryptocurrency? Bitcoin. You ever heard of Forex? You ever heard of, stocks markets? Like, so much new technology is coming out that if we don't, I get it. We want to have fun, but if we don't open our minds to start to learn about how money is about to change, how a lot of things, we won't get left. So it was mentors that was able to put me on. My uncles used to say, man, you need to get stocks, get this and this. And I used to be like, yeah, you're right. But I had no idea where to go. I had no idea what website to go to, how to buy stocks. You know what I mean? Because I was like, man, I'll get that student loan money when I was in college. I'm getting student loan money, put that on type of stock. By the time I get out of college, I could just pay everything off if the stock, made some money. I had that in my mind, but I didn't know how to do it. And because of the pride, I didn't even challenge. I didn't even ask nobody. Even though my uncle was saying, yo, you need to do this, I didn't ask him. So what I'm saying is our pride usually gets in our way where you be like, man, I got to figure it out. I know, when we don't know. So I had to push that pride to the side, and I had to start asking people and seek advice. And I challenge y'all, look around y'all, man. Y'all got some good teachers, man, some good, administrators that are here to kind of guide y'all. Take advantage of those people, man, not in a bad way. If they're coming at you to try to give you advice, man, take heed to those advice. Start a man-to-man, start a woman-to-woman on campus, start a 1 hour a month, start a little group where y'all can just sit down and start talking about business, what business y'all want to come together and develop. By the time y'all get out of here, y'all graduate, y'all would have put all the pieces together, man, and y'all can go to any city, any state, any country, and put those businesses to work. But take advantage. Take advantage of all the things that you got in front of you right now, and that's my challenge to you. Any other questions? Man, it's the balance, man, bruh. That balance is, it's, you know, my uncle used to say, man, he said, yo, at some point, you juggling all these balls, you're going to drop one. You're going to drop one. You know, but you make sure that the ball you don't drop is your family's ball. You make sure that the one you don't drop is the one that's serious. So what I had to do is, y'all realize I had to learn to say no. Because people will come at you all day, especially if you're doing things. People are like, yo, man, can I get you to do this? Can I get you to? And sometimes you be like, man, you don't want to say no. I had to learn to start saying, nah, I'm good. And especially as my kids are getting older, I got to start getting at home. And all that stuff I'm pouring out, I got to start pouring in. So I had to like really find ways to, not me being out there all the time, but to develop the next generation to be out there. And it's sad because you see in some communities, there are brothers, men in their 70s and 80s, and they still out there trying to change. And it's like, man, you're supposed to be chilling right now. But they're like, man, where's the next generation that's supposed to pick up the ball? Nobody else is stepping up. So I'm like, nah, we out here. We just don't speak the same language you speak. We look at it differently. You know, we may not go to your same church, but we out here. But you need to chill. So I had to find a way to spread myself out, man, get other kids into positions where they can start doing things so I'm not the only one carrying all that. Because my wife tells me all the time, man, stop just creating new programs and new programs. You know what I mean? Like, chill. Let somebody else, you know what I mean, take this. And I'm like, man, I can't, man. This needs to be done. This needs to be done. But I had to learn, especially as I get older, to just kind of slow down a little bit. You know what I mean? Get another lane. Slow down a little bit. And sometimes you see something that's like, yo, I'm going to do the best I can, but I can't just put everything into it. So balance is hard. And that's actually the key for how the universe works, man. You got to stay balanced. You know what I mean? Anything off balance is going to spiral out of control. So balance is something that I'm still practicing. I haven't even mastered that yet, bro. Any other questions? Always. Always second guess myself. Always. Because I'm like, man, you know, with all this stuff, even poetry, even all the stuff I'm doing, I was saying, man, ain't nobody gonna feel this. Ain't nobody gonna feel anything I'm doing. If I set it up, man, they ain't gonna come. They ain't gonna, you know what I mean? And I used to tell myself that. And I would bring that into fruition. And my brother, I had a brother, he was older than me. When he was 15, he got locked up. He ended up having to do 15 years. And we used to always write each other. And I used to just kind of write because he was going through it inside. He was fighting, cutting, and all kinds of stuff. And I was like, yo, bro, you gotta chill. And I used to write. And when I used to write him, he used to let a lot of his boys in there read it. And he's like, man, you gotta start sharing your work with the rest of the world. I'm like, man, ain't nobody gonna feel it. But as I started reading it, I saw that people started feeling it. As I started just implementing it, I saw that it was connecting. And when you do it, you're gonna attract those people that you're supposed to attract. Like, how are we able to do this with really almost little to no resources? When we had to go to Ethiopia, I had to raise $53,000. And I said, yo, we're going to make it happen. I started doing shows. I started to raise that money. Connecting with different people. People recognize what you're doing. People want to lend their hands to support you. So, yeah, you usually second doubt yourself. You doubt yourself. But the reality is, you know, don't beat yourself up to the point where you got your idea and it's just sitting there in your mind. You know what I mean? So you second doubt, seek advice. Ask somebody, you think this is a good idea? How can I make this better? How can I make this work? And when I started doing that, it pretty much kind of opened up. But I did second doubt. I doubted myself a lot. Second guessed myself, all kinds of things, man. But connecting with people who recognize my passion. Because people are going to see if you're serious about it or if you're playing. People see through that. Kids see through that. You know, funders see through that. You can have all the good ideas you want, but if you ain't got data is how is it what you're doing working? That's the other part of you developing your program. How is what you're doing, how is it going to make an impact? What impact is it going to make? You know what I mean? Collect that data. And once you collect that, then you're able to show that what you're doing is working, and that's when they can really, you know, take your program and plant it in New York. You know, then we're going to Ethiopia. We're going to all these other places based off just a small idea. I'm just going to teach these kids how to think and look at the world through the chessboard. And now it's gone to where it's gone. So yes, I did second guess my guess. I second guessed myself, but eventually I had to, it all came together. Any other questions? Miss King, please let me know if what time I have. Any other questions? Somebody else? It came in, it don't all come at once. It comes in different sprouts, where, again, I started to say, what is it that was missing in my life? Like, I dropped out. I didn't know my school counselor. I wish I had big brothers. I wish I had this kind of program in place when I was coming up. So I had to say, man, if I had some of these things, like, what was missing? And I started to just find a way to make it fun. Because if it's like just come together, we just gonna read books, we just gonna do this, we like, man, I ain't trying, it's lame. But we're gonna try to find a way to make it fun. These kids have never been kayaking, they've never been up a mountain, they never would do some of these things with these kids. And I found a way, how can I show you the world, but at the same time make it fun in the process? So the visions came in, and then you gotta develop it. Like you said, everybody got an idea, a dream, but if you ain't writing that down, if you ain't writing it down, if we ain't putting steps, then it's just a dream. And it's a lot of people sleepwalking with good ideas. Man, we gonna make money, we gonna do this and this. Okay, what's your budget? Huh? What's the name of your program? Huh? So what you talk about you want to do? You want to do what? Put steps, And somebody said, yo, sometimes you just got to envision. It says, okay, for me to get there, for me to get to that wall, I might have to take 20 steps and calculate every step. Not meaning you got to do every step in one time. Like, I'm going to do this. By 3 months, I'm going to go here. By 4 months, I'm going to go here. Who are the people I need to meet? Who are the people I need to know? How much money I need to run? How much money I need to make? Develop a structure, and I can show you all a structure, my structure. I develop a structure. You got all kinds of technology. You can just go online and develop a structure and start putting faces of people who you want in your life. And these are the pieces I'm going to need to make this happen. I'm going to need my church, right? So if I go to church, will the church going to let me use that space? Nah, yeah, okay, only thing I'm going to ask. They said no, okay, I'm just going to another spot. So people won't say no, but just keep going. If you're serious about it, keep going. All right, so it don't all come at once. It comes in steps, and you place those steps. You have your vision, this is what I want, but always grow it. Always continue to allow it to grow. Any other questions? The poetry, it was actually started when I was young. My very first piece was a piece called Warriors Without a War. And I used to see how, like on my block, I thought I was going to be one of them kids that was going to end up getting killed in New York, like anything. New York, you were still in a small mindset. Man, it's my hood, it's my block, it's my little corner. I don't own a corner. You know what I'm saying? We don't own these blocks we shooting up for, we shooting out with. But I used to see these things, and I used to be like, man, and I wrote Warriors Without a War, how we had all these warriors, man, kids walking with so much anger, but we had no outlet to release it. So we just released it on each other. So that was like my very first piece, and I think I was about 14, 15. And again, I wrote it, and I just kind of held it. But as I started sharing it, then people connected with it, and I just got better. And people said, if you want to become a better poet, read other poets. I read Khalil Gibran, Saul Williams, so many poets, and I just read different styles and different, the way people engage, and I just find ways to incorporate that and create my own little style. But able to take this and go into middle schools and high schools. And like the poems I'm sharing with you, I'm actually sharing with the kids, and they got to break it down. And I'll be like, yo, from that project piece, what stuck to you the most? They were like, young boys are running trains, hey! And I'm like, come on, all right, I get it. All right, so let's really talk about that. So you got to meet people where they at, not where you at. You meet them where they at. If you could come in here, if I start talking about all kinds of things, I'll be like, what is this dude talking about? But I got to try to meet people where they're at. So I try to write poetry from the point, if I'm talking to a Rotary Club, if I'm talking to professors, I can meet them where they're at. And at the same time, if I'm in middle school, high school, I can meet everybody where they're at. So I started writing for that. Okay? Some of it. Because, first of all, with chess, it was a lot of elders in the neighborhood. They used to be like, yo, come on, sit down and play chess. I'd be like, man, I ain't trying to play chess. You know what I mean? It's like, I used to try to go the other way. But when they started to send me down, chess was a way of me looking at the world. All right? When y'all taught y'all chess, I said, you got 8 friends, the pawns, your friends, the castles, your community. You know, the castles move straight, so keep your community straight. The knights, the police, the bishop, your churches, the queen, your mom, the king, your dad. So I used to try to look at the chessboard, and I got a TED Talk, and you can find all that on the website, on the Chess and Community website. I do have a TED Talk. And I will find a way to, give me a second. Yeah. I'm sorry. And all that is in the TED Talk, if you get a chance to see that. And so it was those elders that used to always teach me, or they used to talk to me about it. And as I got older and I started seeing the kids that I used to work with in juvenile system, then I try to, like, whatever they was teaching me, I try to teach them, but in a way that they can understand it. And once they understood chess on one level, then I started the castles, your banking system, the knights, your military. You know what I mean? And why chess? If we ain't playing, if we ain't thinking 3, 4, 5, 6 steps ahead, we're gonna always be reacting, right? So my thing was, how do I get the kid to start looking 5 to 10 moves ahead? And what that person learned on the chessboard, now I'm gonna teach you how do you apply that in life. That we talk about those steps. Think about where you're trying to go, lay those steps down, and then begin to implement those steps. So that's how we did it. You all, thank you so much. Thank you so much.